Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host. And tonight you join me here how to fight CPS and stop taking our children. We have an honored guest here tonight named Darlene Smith from Georgia, and she'll share her CPS case in a few moments here. I just wanted to go over the ground rules for the room. We are a live podcast. You found us on Facebook. We're broadcasting over YouTube using the StreamYard application. And I'm so glad that you chose to listen to me. I'm not an attorney, but I have been involved in CPS for 14 years, and my children were trafficking by them for 3 years. I got I have six children. My three older ones weren't affected by CPS, but my three younger ones were trafficking into foster care, and I got them back. My two boys in 2 years. I lost my daughter, which was sad, and I also lost my home. But anyway, I'm here to help you all. There are several ways you can interact with this podcast. One way is to text in a comment. Let me see here. When you text in a comment, I like it to pertain to CPS, and it could be something about your case or a friend's case or something you want to know about CPS. Please show your name, city, state, or country, and be complete with your CPS case so that we can talk about it and so forth. Yes, I said country. We do have various countries contact us. They have CPS problems too. Right now, so far, I've been contacted by Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana in South America, Mexico, and Mozambique in Africa, and Denmark. And those are the people that have expressed interest. I've also had a social worker on here from Maryland, and she was talking for 40 minutes about how she does her handling of CPS and so forth. So please, text in your comments, and we'll try to help and so forth there. Let me see what else. Okay. We won't take any phone calls tonight because we have a guest here and I'd like to concentrate on hers on that question there. If you want to be a guest on the show, such as our guest Arlene here, all you need to do is get a hold of my show producer, Grace. She's a hardworking individual behind the scenes. You send her an email and tell her that you want to be on one of my 14 broadcasts. Her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And she'll put you on. You just say, I want to be a Monday show, Friday show, and so forth. So with that said, I think right now we're going to hear what Darlene has to say here. So welcome, Darlene. And first of all, how did you find this podcast?
Well, thank you for having me. I looked at you on Facebook. Can you hear me? Are you okay?
I hear you fine. It's okay if you feel a little nervous. No, there's no problem at all.
Okay. Well, my story started in the Atlanta area, and I have a severely autistic child who is dealing with PANDAS and PANS. It's a pediatric autoimmune problem.
So she's a special needs child, right?
Yes, sir. Very
Good.
special needs.
Good.
And so I was begging the state for help for a couple years before this happened, trying to find any kind of resource because my case is a resource case. So I was begging anybody I could to try and find resources to help us because my daughter would get very aggressive and self-injurious. So I took her to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta to the emergency room. And one time before they took her, two physicians in the ER took me into a room late at night, into a late night meeting, and asked me, told me that I need to put my religion aside for the betterment of my child because I had a religious waiver of exemption for immunizations. So I told them that I would not do that, and they immediately called Georgia DFACS on me. And
Yeah,
then
this is
came
called
back,
medical trafficking, is what's happening to you. They,
right,
because of your religious convictions or so forth,
yes,
you took a child in an emergency, so you're not avoiding the needs of your child. But if
right,
you have other beliefs or other doctors or pediatrician, it's your right as a parent. What's happening now is the child protection system has workers stationed in the hospital, and their
yes,
sole purpose is to take your children, whether you're giving birth to children or you brought your child in for help. And their reasoning is it's just for money. It's for money. It's all a
yes.
money thing. So go on with your story.
Okay, so this physician told me that she called Georgia DFACS on me, and I said, why? And this was late at night, and she said, oh, it's just for resources, it's just for resources. Don't worry about it.
Oh
So that
Lord.
was a flat out lie. When the caseworker got there, she was annoyed. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I told her the situation, that I have a religious waiver of exemption and that the physicians were mad about it. And she said, that is your right as a parent to, there are thousands of children that are unvaccinated in this country. That is your right as a parent. Good night. And she left. So I think that was the time before they took her,
That
because we
was
were
good
in
that
there.
you stood up to her because technically the only way they can ever take your child is with a court order.
Yes, and I had no court order. There was no warrant. There was no anything. When I brought her in, they handed me a little piece of paper that was a little scrap piece of paper, and it said, it wasn't even complete sentences. It just had a little bit of, wording on it. It said that the child is autistic, that the child has special needs, that the medications don't make sense to the ER doctors. Pray the court finds relief. And that's all they had to do to take my child from me.
That's wrong. They got to actually have a legalized document signed by a judge with an embossed stamp at the bottom and a wet signature, very specifically telling who they're taking the child from, what the child's name, and what the allegations are. Because what they're saying is that you are not taking care of your child medically. You're refusing any kind of medical attention. That's not true at all, because you wouldn't
No,
be at the hospital if you're refusing medical attention. But you
yes,
as a parent have all the rights, your constitutional rights. And by the way, the CPS doesn't care about your constitutional rights. You have
right.
all
There's
the
no
rights
due process.
uh, to uh, to do whatever you think is best interest for the child. You got the advice from the doctor. They said, whatever the reason is, you have a right to see your pediatrician. It isn't life threatening. If it was life threatening, if it needed stitches or stop the bleeding, the gunshot wound or something like that, that's different. But it was something that could wait a day, could wait 24 hours. But they
Yes,
they seized on the time that they want to get you. And that's bad. That's really bad.
yes, yes. And I could tell from day one that they were going to do everything they could not to give her back. And that's exactly what they've done. They never, they never asked the prescribing physician anything. They never called them. When they said the medications don't make sense, they never called the prescribing physician. They never discussed it with me.
Yeah, what I was doing, I was contacting our co-host Danielle, who's also from Georgia, to see if
Yeah.
she's coming on. So
Okay.
that's what you hear me in the background coming on. So what I'm trying to get now it happened the first time. The social worker left. Everything was fine. Now, the second time, was this close to this first time, or was it many months later, or what was it?
It was a few months later, but they were already familiar with her because of her behaviors. You know, she was one of the more severe kids that comes in, you know, due to her medical problem. So I was trying to get her medical help and everywhere, and I was unable to do it. Normally kids with PANDAS, she's a severe PANS case is what they call her, but they usually get like IVIG and plasmapheresis, antibiotics, steroids, different things to cut down on the brain inflammation.
Yes, yes. I just brought in Danielle, who is a co-host with me. Danielle, this is Darlene
Hi.
Smith from Georgia. What was this city again? Atlanta? Where?
Keaton, it's Cherokee County.
You know where that is, Danielle?
Oh, yes. I know. That's where my case is at. Oh, okay.
All right, so you do have something
Cherokee
in common.
County, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of
And Danielle, have you ever knew about
That's
the
where,
pink ladies? You know about the
man.
pink ladies?
I want to know. Yeah, I would love to hear. How far? Do I know?
Danielle,
You want me to
do you
show
know
you
about
the
the
ladies?
pink ladies? Danielle, do you know about the pink ladies?
Lady?
Danielle, do you know
I
about
do.
the pink ladies?
You mean the Darlene?
I mean, Darlene.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
I do.
Darlene. Do you know
I'm
about?
sorry.
Yeah, do you know about the pink ladies, Darlene?
No, I don't know about the pink ladies.
These people
Okay,
right
we have 8 social workers from Prescott, Arizona, and this tells you what they think of you as parents. They're proudly wearing pink T-shirts, and on the front of the T-shirts it says "professional kidnappers," and on the
I
back,
saw that.
yeah, they say, "Do you know where your kids are at?" This is the attitude of social workers across the country. I've talked to all the states. You know, I've even talked to a social worker, and I'm telling you, that's their attitude. This was in 2022. They walked around in public, and then they were fired right away. In fact, they wiped out the whole branch of CPS, left them with one guy that didn't wear a pink T-shirt because he didn't like the color pink. But anyway, this disgusting, and I Danielle has the backdrop to tell people to be careful of CPS. They're nothing more than trafficking, you know, and money hungers, money. So the second time they show you this piece of paper, did it say court ordered to remove the child?
No, like I said before, it wasn't even complete sentences. No, it was just
Then when you look at it, did you tell them
spiral
what is
scrap
this?
paper.
Yeah, did you tell them what is this?
I'm sorry?
So
when you talk to the social worker, did you tell them what it is?
No, she didn't even introduce herself. She just said she was with DFAC. She didn't even say her name. And it was just a little scrap piece of spiral notebook paper that said that the child is autistic, that the child has special needs, that the medications don't make sense to the ER doctors, and pray the court find relief, which none of those are reasons to me to take a child from their parent.
Well, not only that, it's not a warrant. It's not a warrant.
Right.
How long has your case been going on in Cherokee?
What, Danielle? What?
How long has her case been going on in Cherokee?
5.5 years.
Wow.
Mm.
So
yes,
you gave your child to them that day, is what you did?
To me, I didn't give her away. They took her.
They physically took them from your arms?
No, I was in the room with her and everything, but they told me I had to leave and I had to not come back to the hospital where I used to be employed.
Oh.
The
Children's Health in Atlanta.
That one, or is? Oh, so how old? So I came in late. What's a little like rundown of your story? Like how'd you get involved with these guys?
Well, this is the second occasion.
Cherokee. I like it how a lot of more people are coming open about Cherokee.
That she likes to do the medical treatment in her beliefs, and I guess they are trying to use that as a crutch
Right.
to get the child into CPS. And when I talk about CPS, I mean Child Protection System. I know it's called different in Georgia, but it's the one
Yeah,
that
she's right
handles
there
the
where-
neglect and the abuse of children and pulls to handle family reunification. So anyway, she was handed this piece of paper and told to leave the room at the hospital. And what I would have done if I was you, I would have picked up the child, put him in my arms, and left the hospital with my child.
Did they have the police there or anything? Or
No.
just the caseworker? Or just whoever? Just
whoever this person was, I would have picked up the
Just
child
the case
because
for
you see,
that.
you as parents and myself included, and Danielle, when we first got sprung with all this, we didn't know who CPS was. We don't know what they are. We don't know
I
how
never even knew
corrupt
who
they
they
are.
were.
We don't know how lack of transparency.
Cherokee
you know,
bad. Horrible.
They're
Well, I
just
was familiar with them because I am a retired paramedic firefighter and now I'm a registered nurse. So I knew exactly who they were.
okay. Well, did you know they have the authority to take children?
Yes, but I
Well,
didn't know to what
They have
extent.
to have a court order.
Yes, I knew that, and they didn't have one, but they told me to leave, so I didn't want to press the issue. I have no criminal history. I've never been
I know
arrested.
you just don't want to have your child
Cherokee would be the
run
one
the risk. You did the right. First
Right.
of all, I would definitely get a hold of my pediatrician for my.
I was on the phone with her and I was hysterical, and she was associated with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and says,
old
"Oh,
was
wow,
your
I don't know what's
kid?
going on."
How old was
Yeah.
your kid? As a little girl, boy, and how old was it when
Well,
first?
she had just turned 13 at the time. Now she's 18.
She's still
So
in foster
now,
She's 18. Is she now out of foster care?
no, she is still in foster care, and they have given guardianship to her. My ex-mother-in-law, who is estranged from her, hasn't seen her in 6 years, and told
Cherokee?
the judge that she plans on turning her back over to the state when she turns 21.
Well, first of all, when a child turns 18, the CPS hands
special
are
needs?
tied behind their back because she could leave. Now, if she's a special
Is she
need,
special needs?
has special needs, you can be a guardian of the child
Right.
and be the guardian of the child and take care of her special needs. You are the biological mother, and you can
Yes.
apply for guardianship.
Have you applied
I
for
did.
guardian?
Yes,
Through
I
Cherokee
did. And
Company?
the two physicians, or the two attorneys, I should say, the two attorneys
The guardian ad
had my
litem. Did you have-
petition thrown out on a technicality.
For what? Like what was the
They
technicality?
said a technicality of service. They said you didn't serve 2 people, you only served 1. It was something like that. It was real technical. So they started talking legalese above me because they knew I was a pro se litigant, because they had drained, DFACS had drained all my legal funds by CCing my attorney on everything. And since this is a very involved case with a very severe special needs child, there were several emails going per week back and forth. So
My
they
son
just
is
started CCing everybody to run out my money, basically. So I was forced to go pro
Wow.
se.
Wow. Well, my son, so your daughter's 18 right now, and
Right.
guardianship been granted to this other person?
To my ex-mother-in-law, who hasn't seen her in 6 years and lives 8 states away, and
Oh,
is
so
very
your
Your
involved.
mother-in-law
Your
instead of
kid's out
do
of
this
state
for parent,
too?
because I'm trying to find out what is wrong with you, Darlene, that they fear that you would not be a good mother for your child.
They just
I'm not sure. It's a vendetta. There's one caseworker who's very, very narcissistic. So I don't know.
Can you give me like the letter of her name, maybe her first name? Because mine is, I would love to know like who. One of them's an R and the other one's a T.
R.
It's okay. Okay, I got you. Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'll have to get in touch with you after. So have you dealt with ICPC?
Absolutely.
My son, ICPC or anything?
I'm
Like,
sorry?
where's your daughter at? Out of state? Where?
She's on the south side of Atlanta now. She was sent her out of state to a facility for 3 years.
That's
Where?
because Georgia can't do that. That's what happened to Danielle's son. They had to
because
use
they get more funding.
ICDC, and they transmitted
that
her son to Texas for training.
Yes.
He was 17 at the time. And then when
they
he
had no
turned
right to
18, he could have said right off the bat, hey, I'm 18. I want to see my mother. And so you can do that. And so does your daughter have any bad feelings towards you as a mother?
Not that I know of, but she's nonverbal, so they do all the talking for her in court and everywhere, and that is the terrible thing.
That's
I mean, they pose her in pictures with a puppy, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. If she's ever upset, it's my fault because she just visited me, or you know, whatever they want to say.
That's what they tried to say about me, about my son. When he got off the visits with me, he would always act out. I said no. The thing is I started recording the visits because my kid. What facility did they send your daughter to? Texas, or was it Texas or
no?
Anywhere?
It was to South Carolina. So every weekend I was in South Carolina for 3 years.
Wow. And because they sent my son to Devereaux and when, but they did. I have family here that is more. I mean, she's helped my aunt. They didn't contact my family. My mom died. She had guardianship of my son. And my aunt that has my guardianship of my daughter just gave my son to the state and lied and said I abandoned him and she hadn't seen me in 10 years, which was a lie. And they ran with it. Like, and I mean, did they ever use nunc pro tunc on any of your court orders? Like,
what is it?
It's a nunc pro tunc. Like, it's where
they backdate.
Yeah, it's where they amend a court order and they try to backdate. Like say something happened in the now and tried to backdate it. Like, pretty much it's trying to fix their screw ups, but it's not. It shouldn't be used on.
I haven't seen that, but let me tell you something. The clerk of courts allowed the judge to remove the entire juvenile division of records from the clerk of court's office downstairs to upstairs outside of her chambers where they can be altered at will. And to me, this is the appearance of impropriety.
When was this? When was this? Was this recently?
Oh, this is when the judge learned that I was going pro se.
So they removed all the
because they refer to my case as the big case. So I'm always last up on the docket and everything, so they can give me the most time for them the most time. But one thing I want to add is when I would go to these hearings, the first few hearings, I was not allowed into the courtroom during my own hearings. They kept us all the hallway, and I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only parent out waiting in the hallway. And then they would make decisions where this attorney who didn't know me from anybody that I had hired the day before was trying to defend me.
Did you have a court-appointed attorney ever?
No. Well.
No.
I had Jessica Long in Cherokee, and she railroaded me.
The court-appointed attorneys are not worth using. They have 30 clients. Their caseloads too, and they will just do very little, and they won't fight, and they will not see you except on the date of the hearing. They're just a waste of time.
They appointed me.
Danielle, she said she hired an attorney. Why did this hire an attorney? Didn't you have a couple days to discuss the case with the attorney you hired?
No, and this was a type of attorney who would show up, he would have a 5-minute phone call with me maybe the day before and show up 10 minutes after the hearing was supposed to start, kind of thing, completely unprepared.
Then he's not really what I call a professional dependency attorney that knows how to fight CPS.
Did he practice in Turkey?
Yes.
Practice in Turkey? Okay. Who was it, if I can ask? Was he
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah. You can say who your attorney is.
Attorney James Bass. He was out of Woodstock.
Man, bless. Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that's one thing. My show, we do talk about how to find the right attorney and how to negotiate the fee and stuff like that. Have you heard any of my podcasts before, Darlene?
No, I haven't. I've
Okay.
heard Vince Davis's, but not yours.
Yeah,
So
I have.
Go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
I have 14 podcasts, and I go over 3 important rules that do help you. And one of them is how to find an attorney, how to pick an attorney, how to get a pro bono attorney, how to get an attorney with a retainer, and what to look for. And that's the problem, is that you now have been suckered and wasted money on somebody that didn't know what he's doing, And
Yes.
so now you're 5 years into the case. Have your rights been terminated?
No, they just let the clock run out, and they ruled non-reunification against me.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
But your daughter.
Did you try to appeal the ruling?
No, I didn't, and that was my fault. I didn't do it in time because they made it a big long process instead of like other states that you just have to put in one piece of paper kind of thing.
No, but there are so many of y'all from Cherokee that are coming out now that I've been on this podcast, and I believe that if we was to get a group together for Cherokee and go after them, they would have to break, because nobody's doing that. And like the way my case is done, I mean, it's crazy. And I go back in June, this month, because it's going to be the ultimatum of my son, and my aunt's helping me. I mean, I've been on the news. Trust me, that lady, she hates me. The R word.
Oh, yeah.
You've also been in touch with your Congress people.
I've been in touch with John.
Trying to do things.
And I have been in contact with Senator Ossoff's office and Lieutenant Governor Jones.
Yep.
Jones.
And what has Ossoff said to you? Because Ossoff is in a lot of trouble right now.
Why is he in trouble?
Remember, he wrote that thing, and
he did when he did the investigation, and they came up with these findings. They didn't really look at what they needed to, which is wrongful removals, and they based it on other things, and that's what the problem is. It's like they didn't really address it, and all they did was pee off the system, the department, and it's like they're going to retaliate against us and go back after them more. And I'll send you that thing, and I'm like, and I talked to Kennedy Slay, which is his subcommittee, and I tell her, I'm like, look, how can y'all not get involved on the legal side? I said, it's not even the fact of any of us are asking to get involved on the legal side. I said, what we're asking is for y'all to look at what's really the problem. You're telling me every person that DFCS has had their case taken to John Ossoff, the Georgia system writes back to them and says their case. I don't know if you maybe got the response from the DFACs. I call them DFACs, but your concern has been reviewed and satisfactorily resolved. I don't know if that's the response. Well, that's what I've got 3 times, and I told Miss Slay, I said, I'm gonna keep bugging you. I said, I'm sorry. I said my son's been attacked, my son's been abused. He's 4 states away. I said, and where's all this? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, because there's Devereaux's all over the place. There's one in Florida. So I mean, there's much closer facilities.
But he's not my son. They made him. He's not a behavioral kid. Like
right.
But I am on felony paper, and it's hard for me to leave the state. But the guardian ad litem is affiliated with Texas, but they told me there was no local placements here in Georgia when I'm right here, and so is my family. Like they didn't. I have family they're on the news with me. My aunt was. Maybe the other aunt, they didn't go by what they were supposed to. They didn't exhaust all reasonable efforts. Like
right. Same thing in my case. They did not try to. Every time I tried to come up with something to get my daughter back in the house, they blocked it. Literally. I mean, if I asked the judge, can I take her to the doctor? Can I get her some help? And she said, oh, yes, you can. But then they would change the visitation day and shorten the hours. They've shortened my visitation in retaliation. It used to be 8 hours per week. Then as soon as she crossed back into the Georgia, on the Georgia side, they said, we're not doing 8 hours. We're just going to do 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, they said we're going to do 4 hours. We're not doing 8 hours. We don't want to pay somebody to wait for 8 hours. And then after I made a trip to the Cherokee County DFACS office, the lady at the front desk,
the new office or the old office?
Yes, the new office. I was just one time, and I said I was becoming a pro se litigant, so I said, I need all your policy and procedures or anything you can give me. So she told me she was texting back and forth with the director there for the county, and she said the director wants to know your name. What? And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not trying to be a pain, but I don't think it's relevant. So
you didn't have to tell them. You didn't have to tell them.
Right. So I didn't tell them. So I'm assuming she saw me on the camera, the lobby cameras. And the next day I get an email from the caseworker saying, going forward, your visitation is now 2 hours. It was 4 hours. So they cut it in half. So that's retaliation for showing up there. Yeah. You know, retaliation from the county director.
Wow. And was that, well, I wonder if that was the B word or the L word or the S word. It was one of those. There's that. I mean, they like, there's so many. They don't. Okay, for one, how can they sit here and change up caseworkers that start on your case? Like, and how can they go on the stand and admit and witness that they firsthand knowing, like, that they had to get notified about it. So how did they have firsthand knowledge? They don't, like, they weren't there to experience it. And how can this caseworker go on the stand and witness something that she wasn't there for? If somebody's home's deplorable, that's not you. How can you say it was? I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, my caseworkers never even see me with my child. The guardian ad litem has never even seen me with my child. The judges never see me with my child. They have always excused her from every court appearance.
Your daughter
meeting.
Your daughter?
Yes, she has never been to court. They would bring her to my house, literally next door to the court, and they said they could not bring her to court because she doesn't like long trips. I said, actually, she does like long car trips.
Right.
They just didn't want any issues.
Right. My son
with her doing the same behaviors for other people that she was showing towards me.
Right. Excuse me a second, ladies. I'd like to recognize some people that have text messages in. There's Natalie from West Hollywood, California. She's been on the show a lot. I'm glad you're here. And then also there's a new person. I'm not sure if you're new, but I haven't heard. It's called Teacher Daphne, TP. And she says that in Camden County, Georgia, there's a group of people together, and they say you guys need to do the same thing in Cherokee.
Exactly.
Yes, I went down there for that.
I know I talked to there's 3 more parents that I've talked to that have came on. How did you find the podcast? Like, cause it's so weird, like Cherokee. I mean, I'm just like, just this week, you're the third person, and I'm like, wow. Like,
okay, have you ever seen me out protesting out on the main road there with my signs? Because I've been out there a couple times, and then the GAL came out there. The GAL came there and filming me because the SAG attorney saw me, and then 5 minutes later, she's coming up with her camera phone filming me and everything. And
are you serious?
It's like the night the lights went out in Georgia, like the old Reba McEntire song. It's like so corrupt here.
And you've been in it longer than been dealing with them longer than me because I've been dealing with them since 2022, and right. That's what it is. That county, Bob, this county wants to be like the Golden County of Georgia. They want to be the one that is everybody like I've talked. I live in the county next to it, the Bartow. I live there right now, but my parents lived in Cherokee. My dad still does with my younger brother, but I also have my special needs brother that's in my care that I take care of. He's 37 and he's here with me, and that county is one like they've redid the whole county and made it changed everything, and they're trying to make it something that it shouldn't be, and more than what it is, and making it like the golden, like everybody should move there, and how like a kid's dream or a young couple's dream, because I've actually heard couples out here where I live that they cannot wait till they get old, like more on their feet to move to Cherokee County. I said, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? I mean, and this county is and the crazy thing is when you go to this courthouse in Cherokee, the state court and the superior, but when you go up to that third floor, it's a totally different ballgame. They are. Do you have the female judge or the male judge in Cherokee? For
female judge.
That Bob, that one.
Yeah, the one that just got elected to unopposed to Superior Court.
Is she chief? Is she taking the Chief Judge McLeay's spot?
I'm not sure whose spot she took, but she just got moved, and she'll be deciding on the juvenile court judges now that she's on Superior Court.
Oh God!
And let me just tell you about this judge. She's on a CASA committee now. She's on the board of directors for the CASA committee. The CASA committee board of directors. She was on a long-term CASA committee.
How long has she been doing her term? Like, how long has she been a judge? Because I never.
She came on a couple months when my case, a couple months in, like January of 2019. She was a brand new judge, and she came on. She was appointed. Yeah, she was appointed.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Was Sumner still a judge in 20?
Yes, Sumner was. I have orders from Sumner, and I've never even appeared before Sumner.
That's
so I have orders signed by him.
He was awesome.
Yes.
Like Sumner.
Wow. The entire juvenile code, in my opinion, and I saw some judges speaking the same kind of language, that the entire juvenile code is unconstitutional. That. Yeah. DFACS can just go to a judge behind the scenes and not have to notify the other side, the other party. They don't have to have a hearing, and they can request anything from this judge that they want, and they can get orders written or granted or any request done without the other side even knowing that they requested it.
I can back that up. I can because I can say that all the way, because I asked my lawyer, my court appointed, one day. She told me I couldn't have I said, well, I want all court orders today by close day before you leave. I said, I want it. Next thing I know, I'm getting these court orders. I didn't get to get all. They didn't send me all of them because I told her I was going to report her. And it had a wet signature with that deputy clerk. So darn, and they were in a hurry to get all this together and make sure that they tied their knot. And that's when I noticed the tunk. Like and they would have a court date before. Like, I went to court July 10th, right? Well, they did an amended order on July 7th, but I knew nothing about it. Or that they backdated it to February. I knew nothing about it. So I can very much say that what you're saying is very true, and I can prove it. I can show you, because the court date was July 10th that I was supposed to. The next thing I know, I'm seeing the date July 7th where they amended and backdated this order to something for February, and I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, pardon my French, but you gotta be freaking great. I told him, I said, how is this legit? Like, I mean,
when they can parents have their own hearings and have you outside, not even hearing what's going on, then they solidify their case against you that way, because you have no idea what's going on. They know you're out there, and then they have things to sign inside, paperwork to sign inside that says parent not present, as if you never even showed up for court for your child.
That's why I'm in like the monthly meetings with my son that are out in Texas, like his IEP, like the plan. I've been asking the Miss What's her face, her name starts with a T, every month for the link. And I got messages saying that she's gonna send them to me. Look, they lie, and it's okay. Well, I don't talk to them on the phone. I refuse. Since you're gonna lie to me, we're not talking on the phone. I'm not talking to you face to face unless you're gonna be recorded. And then my aunt, and then I mean, what the R worker, she was fighting with me through emails, like, and I'm like, where? And she's like, well, because I'm on probation. One of the caseworker that her name starts with an A showed up here, popped up on me unannounced when my PO come out here on last year, and she had no right. And my PO said, "Look, that what y'all got going on is simple. She's in compliance. Y'all need to leave. We're not doing this." He said, "You're not doing this, sir." Like trying to get her from. He's like, "She's not doing. Y'all are not going to be this." I mean, he's like, "I don't appreciate you showing up when I'm doing my job." Like she was in her, and why would she pop up? Like I don't have no court order that says unannounced home visits. I'm not on paper with them. I'm on probation with. It's in Cherokee, but I've been doing this 14 years. You know, I've been on paper a long time. I mean, ain't nothing new. And for them to, and I'm so glad that probation, because this is a county that they've seen me at my worst and they've seen me at my best. And and they know I am all about my kids, and that's because I did the drug court program there as well. And the chief judge is the one and she's seen my son at my graduation, and we all took. I mean, there's a photo of all of us together on the wall up there somewhere. And he has my certificate. So that woman is the woman that sent me to prison back in 2011. I went in front of her every time. And she's like, "Come on, what's going on with you, girl?" Like, and so they've seen me make the changes. So when my mom died, it was like whoa, you know. But when you go to the third floor to that juvenile court floor, it's like a total culture shock, man. Like I felt when I don't know if you ever had a judicial citizen panel review.
Yes.
Okay.
CRP. Those are from the CASA committee that the judge is on, that is a part of, with the DFACS director. They are both on this committee together on the CASA. And when I requested CASA on my case, because I didn't know better, I thought they were a neutral party. I requested CASA on my case, and the judge never recused herself, which she should have, because she is on a committee with the DFACS director for CASA.
Right, and they even like a conflict of interest, right?
They even waited to assign somebody until after the hearing where they put non-reunification on me.
Oh man, did you get to go to one of those reviews? Like, did you sit there with?
I went to about 5 of them, and the court liaison, who is very corrupt in my opinion. The court liaison.
Does her name start with an A? Does her name start with an A or M?
No.
We'll have me and you guys.
The court liaison for juvenile dependency.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes. She said we brought in special people just for your panel. Now, to me, that's discrimination. Why do I need special people for my panel? You know, they would not allow me to record, which was my right. They said we don't feel comfortable, even though I know they're recording. They don't announce they're recording, but they're recording the citizen review panel meeting.
That's why anytime that I was around them, I told them straight up. I said, I'm not going to sit here and go through this. I said, and I'm not even going to say anything. I said, I don't know you, and you. I said, when I get back in front of the judge, I said, because apparently I do have an attorney, a court-appointed attorney, and she's supposed to be talking for me. So I refuse to say anything. I said,
what about Danielle? I mean, Darlene, can you maybe start your custody of your 18-year-old child special needs? Can you start that?
Like getting
what do you mean, like reapply for guardianship, or what are you talking about?
Danielle has applied for guardianship. Can you do the same?
Yes, I can reapply. Reapply.
Oh, so
You
you've
don't
already
have to.
applied once and you were turned down?
They did a
Yes,
they
they took it out on technicality.
That's crazy, man.
Yes. So basically, they gave this foster woman that has her. They put her 70 miles away. So I used to see her once a week, but then after contact with Senator Ossoff's office, I had a higher up supervisor call me very rudely and say, "What can DFACS do for you?" And
was it
after
Ann Butler was it from the main office, the state office,
it
Ann
was the
Butler?
main office, TS. So yeah, she after that phone call, I had once a week visitation after that phone call because she only called me because I made contact. I made a complaint with Senator Ossoff's office. So after that phone call, then my visitation was cut to once a month, what it is now, a couple months ago, once a month. And they said, if you want to see her more than that, you're going to pay for it. And they made my visitation supervised, out of retaliation, supervised visitation, and they used transportation. So I would have to pay an A and B trip transportation and supervision per hour, which is about $600 per visit. So it's a financial extortion. If I want to see my child, I'm going to have to give up, half the money I'm bringing home, kind of thing.
This county, we got to go, because the thing is, in this county, and I've realized that with these parents, they're not going to, the thing is when you go up against them and fight them, and when they fight back, you can't give up. You can't stop. That's the thing. Right. You can't back down. And the ones that, and I've met some strong ones out there, and I mean, and I'm going to talk to them. And I think about it, 4 or 5 of us get together, man, we could really rock their socks off. I believe, because they need it, man. They need it. Bob, this is one county that I would have never known they were like this, like that.
Right.
This is crazy. This is,
yes, it is.
And it makes me sick. It makes me sick.
Yes. Bob, what they have in the court record, it says reason for child taken into custody, and it says child disability. And you would think that the ADA Act of 1990 would have something to say, about that.
And they don't even acknowledge that, I bet.
Right. Their SAG attorney said, "Oh, the ADA does not apply to us. It applies to you."
The ADA doesn't. What the hell?
Yeah.
Is it the H or the A with the SAG?
The H. the big H.
The main one.
Yes.
Figures.
Yes.
Oh my God. We're gonna, we gotta get in touch with the SAG and John Ossoff. We gotta get, because have you heard about the big investigation that it has opened up with the Senate with about the Families First and the kinship and Project Guardian? Have you heard anything about that? Have you sent anything into them? Or
I haven't yet. I'm sending it through another individual, another mom that kind of has a group of people fighting. So they have some investigations going. So I want to get involved with that, and we can hook up and get involved with that together. Because I need to meet other people in Cherokee County, because this is really the night the lights went out in Georgia.
You got the main one, because I will get you, because I'm these motherfuckers, man. Let me tell you, Bob, I'm telling you this, they will be exposed. This is all I want, man. I've been in this county for I'm on the criminal side, and
at the state level with the ombudsperson or the civil rights coordinator, they don't help you at all with your local county case?
No.
Parents have no resources available to them from anywhere.
The thing is we're going at this individually alone, and what they don't think that we'll ever do is a group. And that's what they don't want to happen. They think that we're just too scared to sit. No, sorry.
Right.
No.
I mean, I consulted with a good attorney who seemed like a good attorney, Doris Good, but there was a $20,000 retainer, and I just didn't have $20,000. Being the mom of a severe special needs parent, I couldn't even work at the time. We were living on Social Security. We were just barely scraping.
I don't even I applied for, they told me when they got my son, they told me, because I have my brother, my mom passed away. So my brother has, and I care for him. I'm not going to put my brother out. I'm not going to put nobody out in my family. Like, my mom passed and I'm the oldest. Let's, and that's defects never been involved in our lives. Never.
Right.
Guardianship was granted in 2011 and it was left that way. Like, the judge left it up to us, me and the family, to decide. But my aunt to do this after my mom dies is absolutely horrible, and it's wrong of her. And for her to, the good Lord don't like ugly, and she'll have to answer for her. But the thing is now, you'll never believe this, the guardianship of my girls, okay, because I have 2 girls, they're not in foster care, they're with my aunt and my cousin. My aunt and my cousin have not kept the courts up to date in 3 years under their guardianship order of the personal status annually. So that's a contempt right there.
Yes.
And on top, the sheriff showed up at an address that they don't even live at, which is an address that they never resided at. And I'm like, and I'm just like, that's how. And when I called what's her face, the V, her name, her starts with a V, I said, and she will not email me back for nothing. So I'll be sending out another email in the morning. Hey, what's up? Like, I do it sitting right here. What's up? I need to know, because she's trying to say that I wasn't going to be there for the review. Honky. That's how corrupt they are. She's telling my aunt and my cousin that I'm not going to be there, that they don't have nothing to worry about, that it's okay, slap them on the wrist. No, I'm sorry, not going to happen. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes,
that's how they're obvious.
During one of the citizen review panel meetings during COVID, they were all there. All the committee members were there, and the caseworker was there in person, and I was the only one who was not allowed to be there due to COVID, but they could all meet together next door and meet ahead of time and everything. And it's just totally biased.
Right. And it's like, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that is experiencing this, like, being left out of everything. Because it's like they take our kids and it's like they know them better than us. They didn't even have no facts or background about my kid when my aunt gave it. My son was mute, and my son, when I popped up on the visit, on the screen to see him, he looked at the provider and he said, "I told you my mom was coming. I told you she'd be on her way." And he didn't say, and that's the first time he's talked. I told you, "There's my mom. She might be late, but I told you she'd be here to get me." And that's what, and I'm like, well, he's right. But I mean, my son, I could show you a picture of my child. He was traumatized. He looks like pale. He looks like a ghost compared to now that I've been around him. When I tell you he was without me, he lost his Meemaw, which was his nanny and his Meemaw were best friends. And his nanny, my nanny was that's the one that he's been with her his whole life. Like, I'll have to tell you my story. I'll share it, but everybody else has heard it. But and you would never think that these people, what is it their business? Like, he had a caregiver, which was me, because the guardianship order, the original order states, if something was to happen to my mother, guess who? It was only me and my mom on that. As for my girls, if something happens to my aunt, I automatically, and even the judge wrote on the protective removal order at that hearing that they, in violation of the original guardianship order. And I'm like, what does he mean by that? He wrote it in and signed it, and I'm like, so that tells you right there he violated it.
Now that it's in guardianship, even the guardianship judge wrote that mother is not compliant with the case plan, even though he never said what was missing. Now, they've never said anything about what was missing from the case plan, because when I saw the case plan 5 years ago, it said just visit your daughter routinely, and that's exactly what I was doing. So there was no parenting classes. There was nothing added in there. And so this judge said, mom refused parenting classes, which I was never ordered to. So, I mean, the facts just don't matter in these cases. Hearsay is allowed. So they obtain the child on false accusations. And even when you prove them to be liars, hearsay. So even when you prove them to be liars, it really doesn't matter with the court. They're going to do whatever they want. You know, some of the juvenile court judges were former DFACS attorneys, and that's something that we need to bring up too. And also the fact that probably 40–50% of the caseworkers actually came from the foster care system themselves, and there is no psychological requirement for them. So you could literally be, you know,
and most of them ain't licensed either. Like I know that art, she's not licensed. All you gotta do, I mean, they are in the they are acting as though they are, but they're not. How can you prefer clinical therapy or whatever? You can't do that. You have to be licensed. To do anything clinical, you have to be a licensed clinical social worker. You cannot. You have to either are you're the licensed master social, whatever, the LMSW, and then the LCSW. Well, beside her name, it just says MSW, and I'm like, "Where's your license?" Like I have nothing. I mean, look, they hate me. They hate me. I'm like, so what's up? Even the other one, that's like the supervisor, she stopped talking to me because I told her, I said, you know, I said, y'all know darn well that all this is messed up and wrong. I said, so what's gonna happen? I said, it's okay. I said, I tried again. I said, but it's all good. I'll see y'all next time.
They said that I asked for 4 people in home to take care of my daughter, which I never did. It was just a misunderstanding of the caseworker who used to be a gas station attendant at Racetrack before she was with DFACS. She just misunderstood me.
And did you ever deal with Goshen Therapeutics?
No, they're just down the road. They're up down the road. But,
I took a parenting aid on my own. I do my classes on my own through a third party that's it's voluntary and it's free. And I could also provide you with my with that because it's up in Catoosa County, but it's and this is something I'm doing for my daughter, like the child support part. But it's gonna go for my son and my daughter, so it's actually gonna work out. And they just, I mean, because they think I refuse everything. I'm not. When I had to do a parental fitness assessment, there was nothing said about. The only thing that was said was because I've already did drug court. You know, that should be, and drugs were involved. Like, there's no. What's the problem? Like, my son was supposedly without a legal caregiver. No, I was denied because what happened was when my mom died, my son and me should have been back in front of the courts that Monday for me to get custody, for me to on paper to tell the courts, hey, you know, I'm here, I'm getting custody of my son, I'm gonna and pretty much transfer the custody back to me, you know, and that's all it is all paperwork, really. I mean, otherwise, but my aunt had to intervene and interfere with my cousin. I mean, that's exactly what she did because she wants my girls. She wants my daughter. She wants me to lose my rights to my daughter. Okay, no, not gonna happen. My girls are at the age where they can decide if they want to be in my life or not. And I really do think that what saved my son is the fact that he turned 18 in the system. That's what saved me from, because they were getting ready to railroad. I mean, they probably did railroad. That's how quick
Darlene and Danielle, we're getting close to the bewitching time. We have about a minute left here. Is there anything else that can help you out with, Darlene?
I just need resources to get my daughter back home, and they're giving all these resources, and the taxpayer is paying for all these resources to be given to a foster lady when I have been trying to get resources. She is given respite care, she's given transportation, she's given a whole bunch of things that it is hard to find when you have a child that is an older child, that is on Medicaid, and that is highly aggressive. We just need support as parents.
Well, hopefully that Danielle can get in touch with you, Darlene.
Yeah, I can help you with the comp waiver and stuff too.
So like that. I want to thank you, Darlene, open up your heart, open up your case. I'm so sorry for the tragedy you're going through. I wish you could still do the custodian of your daughter. I think you could reapply again and do it again. But I think that is a solution to be taking care of your daughter's special needs. And
Right.
Danielle, maybe you can talk to her there. You help out each
I'm in
other.
the
But I want to
process.
thank you for being my
I'll
co-host.
tell you about
I want
my
to thank Natalie from West Hollywood for your comments, for listening on the show. There, she's one of our Texas that follows.
Natalia. Hey, Natalia.
Yeah,
I gotta contact
Natalia
her
there.
about something. I'll be
And
contacting.
and I want
last-
to thank teacher Daphne. I don't know what state or city you're from, but it was nice with your comments and stuff. Now, I'll be on again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And by the way, Darlene, you can call in anytime. You can be our guest anytime you want. I welcome you there.
Thank
So
you.
I'll be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day, at 10 in the morning and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. With the exception on Sunday, I'm on at 8 o'clock in the morning. But I really
time.
will do help any way I can. We didn't cover my rules, but they're on other podcasts. So, with that being said, God bless you all. And this is Bob, Danielle, and Arlene signing off.
Okay, thank you, Bob.